In this episode of Crushed Custard, part one of a look at the 12-inch singles collection.
Hello, good evening, welcome to the latest episode of Crushed Custard. Anyway, what's today's video about? Well, we've got the second part of the latest haul coming up in a few days. I haven't been able to finish that one off yet because, as I expected, one or two other things did arrive in yesterday's post, but I haven't had a chance to look at them or listen to them yet. So it's that time of year, especially if you're over here in England. It's the springtime when you start to thinking about changing things around. You move the furniture around, as you can probably tell, the things have changed around in here just a little bit over the last few weeks, and you start to go through your wardrobe and things, don't you? You think, well, is it time to retire one or two of these shirts to make room for one or two new ones? And while I was doing that, I came across my 12-inch record collection. Now, as I've said before, I'm not a big buyer, or I never was. I was never a big buyer of singles or 12 inches. But at the start, I did used to buy the odd one or two, especially if they got a track that wasn't on the album, or maybe it was a band that I didn't know that I was going to like them yet, or there was just something different about it. Or, of course, it was one of my big collector bands. Now, I haven't got many, and they were in two piles. One pile had got the Deep Purple stuff, so I put that to one side. The other pile has got everybody else. Now, I haven't gone through it. I've just taken it out because I'm now going to put it in one of the racks down here. And I'll split it roughly in half. I reckon there's about 20 in it. That's what I've got. I've only got about 40 12-inch singles. Then plus about another 20 or 30 or so maybe from the purple type bands like your White Snakes and your Rainbows and all that sort of stuff. So I thought, right, what we'll do, people seem to like these show and tell things. So rather than pick an album out and talk about it or do a box set like I was going to do, I thought, why don't we do the closest thing we can do to a live thing? And that is go through these, see what we've got together, because I can't remember exactly what I've got. So it could be interesting. It could be a right load of old junk. We might get the same band a few times. We might not. Who knows? But here we go. Let's have a look and see what we've got. So first up is this. Molly Hatchet. Bounty Hunter, Boogie No More, Flirting with Disaster, and Big Apple. Now, I can tell you exactly why I bought this. I used to go to a rock club on a Friday night, and they always used to play Boogie No More, and all the girls used to get up and dance to it, and it was brilliant. And I thought, I'd try that band, let's see what I like. And I went and got this 4-track, 12-inch, 2 tracks on one album, 2 tracks on the other. All 4 of them are absolutely brilliant. 4th Degree Burns, Molly Hatchet. Great stuff. Good start, that. And next up, as I said, these are in no particular order, so they're not going to be any sort of chronological order either. I'm sure I've got more than one by this band, Dio. And this is Mystery, which is taken from the album The Last in Line. So that was the second Dio album, so I'm pretty sure there's got to be some in there from the early one. Now, why did I buy this? Because the B-side is Eat Your Heart Out and Don't Talk to Strangers live. So there you go. For a live track and a UK tour poster, which isn't in there, because what I used to do when I had one sort of like recording room or whatever, I used to put all those posters up on the wall as everybody did. But luckily for me, I took them all down and they're all in a folder somewhere in a cupboard. So maybe I should dig it out and put it back in again. But there you go. Mystery Dio. Oh, another Dio from the same album, We Rock, from The Last in Line. And the reason, again, I bought this one is because it's got 2 more live tracks on the back, Holy Diver and Rainbow in the Dark. And you can see that cost me the princely sum of £1.79 new pence from a record shop called Berwick's, which everybody in rugby will know was the hip place to be seen on a Saturday, or any other day, come to think of it. The best independent record shop that rugby's ever had, really. Sadly no longer with us, but I still do actually see in my local pub a chap whose mum used to work in there. So the legend of Berwick lives on, and my mate Eddie, who's probably watching this quite often, posts a picture of his Berwick's carrier bag up on Facebook, which you always used to see people carry a really striking red bag with a black owl made out of records on the front. Really great stuff. Everybody was walking around carrying one of them on a Saturday afternoon. I'm looking at these exactly the same time as you are. It's another Dio, so obviously at some point I'd put them in some sort of order. This one is Rainbow in the Dark, which was of course from the first album, so obviously we're going backwards. What's this got on it? It's got Rainbow in the Dark on the A side. The B side is recorded live at Custard in 1983, and I was there, so I am on this record somewhere. And on the B side there, Stand Up and Shout and Straight Through the Heart. There you go, the classic first lineup of Dio, Rainbow in the Dark, Stand Up and Shout and Straight Through the Heart from Monsters of Rock Donington, which of course is now called Download. You can see it's on the old Vertigo orange thing. I think I'm correct in saying that Donington show is now available. Certainly on CD. It might be available on vinyl as well. I haven't actually got a copy of it myself, but I seem to remember it was a pretty good set. They were way down in the order as well. They were on in the afternoon, really quite early in the lineup. Still, we probably could have predicted this is what's going to be. It could be the very first Dio single, Holy Diver. So obviously that's not going to have any live tracks on the back, is it? But what it has got is a track that wasn't on the album, I think, Evil Eyes, and another track called Don't Talk to Strangers, which was on the album, and that would have come out before the Dio album, so it would have been a bit of a taster as well, I suppose. And there goes on that same Vertigo label. Again, nothing really exciting about the covers. On 12 inches, that's quite a lot of 12 inches. Didn't even have picture covers back in those days. Oh, this is an interesting one. This is called We Are the Boys by the Rockers, and this is one of those sort of one-off things. I actually remember now what it is. It's a sort of medley of all those famous sort of old rock and roll songs, but the people that are on it are interesting. It's got John Cobden, status quo, Chaz Hodges, Phil Lynott and Roy Wood. It's a cracking little thing there, so if you can pick one of these up, it's a good bit of fun. There you go, you can see the pictures of the four guilty party, the four pictures of the four people on the front there. And if you want to see what the exact tracks are, you can freeze it in for there, but that's pretty good from what I remember. The B-side has got just an ordinary track called Rockin' on the Stage, which was written by Phil Lynott and Roy Wood. I'm not sure what label this was on. Maybe on CBS. Andy Taylor, as I said, I did a video about his first solo album last year. His second solo album was full of sort of classic rock covers, because he was very much a sort of rock one, really, Andy Taylor. And don't forget, he was involved in the early days of Thunder and all that sort of stuff, helping them get themselves on track and making them far more successful than they had been when they were called Terraplane. Anyway, this one is a 12-inch single with a nice die-cut sleeve as well, which is nice. It shows the guitar on the inside. Nice little bit of interesting there. Now, the single was Lola, but the B-side was the reason why I would have bought this, because I've got the album as well. The B-side got two tracks on it: Space Station Number 5 by Ronnie Montrose, but also Be Good to Yourself, which is a cover of a Frankie Miller track, which was written by Andy Fraser from Free. So that's pretty good stuff. If you can track down that Andy Taylor, especially the second of his solo albums, the one that's got all the covers on. It says there's a pictured disc. Oh, indeed it is. There you go. I didn't realise that. So there we go. If we take it out, let's not take it. We need to take it out, do we? But you can see there. Look, it's the guitar and all the blurb on the back. I want to take that at some point. It's got one of those dreadful plastic sleeves. It appears like it might be sticking to it. It's probably not been out of there for donkey's years, so I better watch that. Is this Rose Tattoo, Bad Boy for Love and Trap? Now, the story behind this is pretty good, because the first time I went to see Rainbow in 1981, I think it was, Rose Tattoo with a support act, and that was also the first time I ever met Richie Blackmore. We went back to the Grand Hotel afterwards, and the singer from this band, Angry Anderson, came back to the hotel with a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, and the sort of like guard man, whatever you call them at the door, concierge. Oh, no, I'm not posh enough to know. Wouldn't let him in. And he was going, but I'm stopping here. And I don't think you are. And of course, we were there at the door trying to get in as well. We couldn't get in because we were obviously only kids. And when Richie Blackmore came down, he came out of the lift, and he strode along to the door, and he said to the bloke, "Yeah, he's with me." And he pointed at Angry Anderson, and then the bloke said, "Well, what about the rest of them?" And it must have been. Oh, everybody says Richard Blackmore's a mystery, but he certainly wasn't that day. And he went, "Yeah, they're with me as well." And we all got in, and Richard Blackmore took my hat off and put it on his head, which he's still got the hat in the cupboard, and he autographed it as well. So I don't do autographs. I never bothered chasing things for autographs. Doesn't bother me buying a record that's got autographs and all that sort of stuff. But on that particular night, Richie Blackmore took my hat off, put it on his head, and autographed it. And then when he went to autograph my programme, he said, "Well, do you want me to sign it?" And I said, "Oh, just above your head." And he put it above his head and did it like that as well, which was pretty good. So Richie was obviously in a good mood that day. And the other good story from that, which has got nothing to do with this at all really, is that I actually lost my programme. And when we met Roger Glover, because they stopped at different hotels and went to the Holiday Inn first, because that's where we were told they were. And Roger Glover came in, and he was signing everybody's programme, and he said to me, "Haven't you got one?" And I said, "Well, I did have, but he sort of pinched it," and he went and got me one out of his car, and I've still got that as well. So that was my first sort of meeting with Roger Glover and Richie Blackmore. They were staying in separate hotels. Roger Glover was in the Holiday Inn, and Richie Blackmore was in the Grand Hotel. That was in Leicester. Anyway, get back to this. That's why I brought this, because they were really good. And I seem to remember that Angry Anderson was swigging from a bottle of vodka or something most of the way through his set as well. But it was great stuff. Rose Tattoo, Bad Boy for Love. Now this is another interesting one. This is Ozzy Osbourne, Bark at the Moon, on gold vinyl. Now, either in this pile here or in the pile that we do next, there will be another, because there were two of these from the same album. This one was Bark at the Moon, this was gold, and the other one was silver. Now, over the years, I don't know if anybody else has got them, but they've tarnished really badly. If you see this here, look, I mean, you can see how it's affected the vinyl. I presume it's down to these plastic sleeves that they were put in, so I wouldn't even know whether that was playable now, and also because of the way it looks, it's not even nice enough to frame, so I'll probably have to dig out an old deck or put an old needle in my record player, see if it plays. If it doesn't, then it might be worth doing something with, to put some gold on it and have it put on the wall or something. But there you go, Ozzy Osbourne, Bark at the Moon. Another Ozzy Osbourne next, and I personally think that Blizzard of Oz album is the highlight of Ozzy Osbourne's career outside Black Sabbath by a country mile. Mr. Crowley, a specially recorded live version with 2 tracks on the back, a track called You Said It All, which was previously released. I don't know whether that's been added to any subsequent CD things. And I know there's a lot of shenanigans about the Blizzard of Oz album, wasn't there, when it was initially put on CD. It was Sharon Osbourne rubbed off everybody else's parts apart from Ozzy Osbourne and Randy Rose, and got it re-recorded so she didn't have to pay Bob Daisley and Lee Kursler, so she didn't have to pay them any royalties. I think it's been put right now, but if you've got an early CD copy of Blizzard of Oz, you haven't actually got the proper album. What you've got is you've got a load of session musicians coming in re-recording it, apart from the guitar and the vocals. I suppose in a way that might make it collectible in its own right. But anyway, this came out on, at the time I bought it on the day, so I know there's nothing dodgy about this. Sharon Osbourne hasn't managed to get her greasy fingers on this. So, Mr. Crowley, You Said It All, and Suicide Solution. Robert Plant next. Now, I've got to be honest about this. This is Burning Down One Side from his first solo album. Now, I was always, well, I still am, I'm a Purple man. I liked Zeppelin, but it took me a long time to get into them. I bought one of their albums, and then traded them away, and then ended up buying them all again a couple of years later. I really got into them around about the time when they sort of broke up, if you like, or a little bit after that, obviously. And I think the first actual album that I bought that was like new was Coda. And What Plant Solo album, when that came out, I absolutely thought it was brilliant. And this, the single, has got Burning Down one side and Moonlight in Samosa, but it's also got an extra track called Far Post that wasn't on the album. And that made that well worth buying in its own right. He was still on Swan Song in those days, of course, as well. So that's the first Robert Plant solo single. I'm sure there'll be some more Robert Plant coming up. I did used to buy a lot of his 12 inches because they always had extra tracks on. What have we got next? ZZ Top. Legs and a Fool for Your Stockings. What a good period, I suppose, to put together, especially if you're going to use that as the cover. Just the 2 tracks on that one. I can't imagine what on earth attracted me to that, but ZZ Top were a good band, and I'd seen them already, I think. When they were on Donington. Were they on the 83 as well? I can't remember now. I know I saw them at Donington when they were a little bit down the set, a little bit down the order. I think I saw them again when they were headlining. I definitely saw them at Milton Keynes when they were headlining. But anyway, there you go. Legs and Fool for Your Stockings. ZZ Top. What is ZZ Top? Sharp Dressed Man. And this is the bane of my life, this song, when it used to come on, because, you know, I like to wear shirts and I like to wear boots. I've never been a sort of band t-shirt man, if you like. I always sort of like to wear a shirt and nice boots and sort of like, you know, with Cuban hair and winkle pickers and all that sort of stuff. And every time this come on, as soon as they got to that chorus bit, all my mates would all be doing that when they got to the Sharp Dressed Man bit. So anyway, there you go. And the B-side to that, I Got the Six and The Grange. So good memories there from back in the days of the old rock clubs and stuff. From Eliminator, of course. And another ZZ Top 12 inch. This time it's TV Dinners, the full length version. Again from Eliminator, and Cheap Sunglasses. Yeah, let's try that one again. Cheap Sunglasses from De Guaylo. Is that how you say it? I'm not 100% sure how you say that. Let's try it back here. The album Eliminator is available on cassette. Great sort of stuff. There you go. And Warner Brothers, I'm presuming. It's nice that some of these 12 inches used to have inner sleeves as well. I mean, this one's got an inner sleeve. It's not probably long standing, but there you go. The old Warner Brothers what label thing, UK catalogue number on the back. There you go. TV Dinners. TV Dinner looks particularly nasty, doesn't it? And Cheap Sunglasses. So the Sharp Dressed Man with his cheap sunglasses eating a TV dinner, maybe. Now, this is interesting. This is where you lot might be able to help me. This, look at that. This is a 12-inch single by a band called Young Blood. It's called First Blood. Now, I have got no idea, really, why I've got this, but I think I can remember that it was recommended to me by the person, the lady that ran the record shop, and she got it in. She said, "Oh, like this," and so I did. I bought it, and I remember it was very, very good. But of course, because it's in a 12 inch, it's just got stuck in the 12 inches and forgotten about it. So I'm going to have to give this one a bit of a spin later. But I don't know anything about this band at all. I don't know where. Well, I could go away now and look up on Discogs. But if anybody knows anything about them or what happened to them, let me know. The tracks on it are called Hold On To Love, Your Money or Your Life, Good Time Tonight, and Dangerous Games. And the band consists of Stuart Goodchild on guitars and vocals, Dave Cadman on bass and vocals, and Andy Webb on drums and percussion. All the songs written by Stuart Goodchild. So there you go. It was mixed at the Greenhouse, and it was recorded at Woodlands in West Yorkshire. So that must be an English band. So there you go, First Blood is what we're on about. So if anybody knows anything about them or what they may have gone on to do afterwards, let me know in the comments and let me know if you've got a copy of it as well. Okay, next up we go more down the sort of pop blue-eyed soul route now, and Paul Young. And this is the lead track from his second solo album, I'm Going to Tear Your Playhouse Down. Now some of these tracks that Paul Young used to record, really sort of well-known old sort of soul tracks. I think this is a belting version of this. This was sort of done by an At-Nat rocker. The rock people would love it, but because he was sort of Paul Young, a lot of people sort of didn't want to know a great deal about it. There's also, I think it's got some live stuff on the back, a version of Broken Man, which is an absolutely wonderful track, and you can tell from listening to Broken Man how much Paul Young was influenced by Paul Rodgers. Of course, he went on to do a cover of A Little Bit of Love, didn't he, on one of his later albums. And if Paul Young is one of those people that you just didn't take any notice of because he was not all over the sort of pop magazines and all that sort of stuff, go back and have a listen to some of his album tracks and stuff. And also before he went solo, he was in a band called the Q-Tips, and the album that they did is great if you love that sort of soul sort of type stuff. Really, really good. And also another little thing about Paul Young a lot of people don't know. Do you remember that Novelty single that was out in the late 70s called Toast, where they just kept singing about toast? Well, that was by a band called the Street Band, and Paul Young was a singer in them. So that was, I think, he's probably his first foray into the charts was Toast. There you go, Paul Young. For the Paul Young one now, this was from his first solo album, No Parlour. This is Love of the Common People. All of these 12 inches are like extended mixes for people to dance to it, nightclubs and stuff. But again, there's some live stuff on the back, which is what made it interesting for me whenever I lay my hat live. And what's the other one? It's Better to Have and Don't Need. Again, good old soul tracks. And again, with a lot of these people don't realise that some of these tracks were hits years ago for other people before that. But yeah, Paul Young, Love of the Common People. One more Paul Young one now, and you can see this is probably why a lot of rock people didn't take to him. If you look at the picture on the front there, it's very sort of not really the sort of style that the rock people and things were listening to or wanting to look like in the early 1980s. But this is the extended club mix version of Come Back and Stay, and because I can see it on the back here, I'm going to read you the name of his band. Now, Pino Palladino plays the bass on this. Now, everybody now knows Pino Palladino. He's a great bass player, played in all sorts of stuff. It also had like the Reverend Ian Cooley, who did all sorts of other stuff, playing the keyboards as well. And of course, all know what I think about backing vocalists, and you can't beat the Kim and Maz, can you? The Fabulous Wealthy Tarts. I mean, they were a great backing man. You wouldn't get away with calling them that now, would you, in these sort of times where people are not allowed to have a joke and have a laugh without upsetting anybody. But yeah, I don't seem to remember them being too worried about being called the Fabulous Wealthy Tarts. I think they probably enjoyed it. Now, one mistake I think that Paul Young made was dropping them after his first album. The second album, he still had backing vocalists, but he had male backing vocalists then, and I just didn't think it was quite as good. Anyway, there you go. Back onto the old rock scene now, and Ronnie James Dio left Rainbow and joined Black Sabbath. And this is Die Young, Black Sabbath, with a live version of Heaven and Hell on the back. Now that will be a very early live version of Heaven and Hell. Now Die Young was the second single to come out from the Heaven and Hell album. Neon Nights came out first, so this one probably would have been, I don't know, probably 3-4 months after the first one. And so they probably haven't played that many live shows then, but yeah, Die Young and a lengthy live version of Heaven and Hell on the B-side. Is The Firm, Jimmy Page and Paul Rodgers, supergroup. And it didn't go down all that well, did it, with a lot of people in the end? I liked it, I thought it was great, but you know, I listened to Paul Rodgers singing them in Phone Book or Fairy Tales or whatever. But this, the interesting thing about this is it has got a completely different version of Radioactive on it, and it's like the track Radioactive on the album lasts for, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, and it's just a pretty ordinary sort of song, nothing special at all. This thing is some sort of remix type thing where it's got crashing drums and all sorts of stuff. It is absolutely incredible. You wouldn't think it was the same song. Brilliant stuff. And on the back, you've got 2 tracks that weren't on the album. City Sirens, which was a track that Jimmy Page had on his Death Wish album, I think. But obviously here you've got the added bonus of Paul Rodgers singing it. And then you've got Live in Peace, which was on Paul Rodgers' Cut Loose solo album. And I think, I'm right, which I should be, they re-recorded it again for the second Firm album. So there you go. The Firm, Radioactive, City Sirens, and Live in Peace. I'm surprised that nobody's ever been back and had a look at them and done any sort of reissue type stuff. I know Jimmy Page is sort of notoriously slow at getting things done, but they only made 2 albums, so it wouldn't have to be a massive thing. There's got to be some stuff knocking about that they didn't put out, and I've got 3 or 4 broadcast quality live shows, and they are pretty interesting. So I would think maybe it's time for a Firm box set. 1984 was it, or 1985? So maybe we're around about the sort of time where they might be thinking of doing it 40 years on. So there you go. The Firm, Radioactive. Oh, back to Dio again. So we've almost gone full circle, and this is Rock and Roll Children. Now I'm pretty sure that was off his 3rd album, wasn't it? That was off Sacred. I thought it was going to be off Sacred Heart for a minute, but it's not. It's off The Last in Line. I'm getting all my albums mixed up. But this is the limited edition white vinyl 12-inch, which contains We Rock and The Last in Line as well. So, yeah, We Rock and The Last in Line were live, and Rock and Roll Children was the A-side. Well, there you go, in glorious white vinyl. And the final one from this first pile, the second pile, is over there, but we'll do that one tomorrow, otherwise the video will take too long. This one is the only one, I think, that I've got to show you tonight that hasn't got a picture sleeve. And that is quite annoying, because the 7-inch version, which I haven't got, has got a really nice picture sleeve. What this has got a Safari company sleeve, but it's got that little label in the corner telling you what it is. So you'd think if they're going to do that, why didn't they just make it a picture sleeve? Surely they could have just made the 7-inch picture bigger and stuck it on the front of this. What is it? Well, it's, if you couldn't see that, it's Tony Ashton and Linda Hayes, the Resurrection Shuffle, that famous old Ashton, Garner and Dyke song, given a little bit of a reworking with Linda Hayes joining in, and an absolutely brilliant track on the back. On the second side, there's also the original version of Resurrection, but there's a brilliant track on there called Give Me Some Time to Pay, which is all about the tax man and stuff, and it is an absolutely brilliant track. Really, really good. And everything about Tony Ashton's humour and everything like that, and it's, yeah, the only thing wrong with it for me is, why didn't they give it a picture sleeve as well? Because that would have been really nice. I mean, some people say, why isn't that in the purple pile? Well, maybe it should have been, but anyway, there we go. So that's the first half of my 12-inch singles collection. Well, I can't really say first half, but the first third really, because there's about the same amount again in the other part, and then there's the same amount again in the Purple family stuff. So I did warn you at the beginning, I haven't got that many 12-inch singles, and they're not all that brilliant. Maybe I'll do the same with the 7 inches at some point as well, if people have enjoyed this. But next up will be the second lot of this, and then maybe the Purple family stuff if we get time, and then we should be getting the second part of the February and March haul, because March will end on Monday. You never know, I might pick something up over the weekend if I go anywhere. Not planning on doing, but you never know. And like I say, a couple of things that are interesting came through the door, which I'm going to take a listen to over the weekend, and they can be involved in that as well. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this, something a little bit different, and we'll be back with part 2 very soon. See you later.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe, as it helps the channel to grow. See you soon.